From The Hearse Song by Alvin Schwartz. Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die. They wrap you up in a big white sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. All goes well for about a week. Then your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. The worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose. They eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns a slimy green, and pus pours out like whipping cream. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you're dead. This is Gothic. Recording all day long. Recording. So, I climbed a mountain today, Dog Mountain, out in the Columbia River Gorge, and I got up much earlier than I'm used to getting up to do it, and so there's that. It's also a 7-mile hike with a 23% grade going up, at least the route that we ended up taking up. Nice. And got to the top, and it was not freezing, not literally freezing, but very cold, and sprinkled rain a bit, but very cold and very windy. And then we came back down, and all of this was done to celebrate, I was doing it to celebrate my second week post-second vaccination. So, woohoo! Anyway, got down off the mountain, super sore, and had to take a nap before this podcast started. And so did Sharon, who was also on that little venture there. And she may still be on that nap because she has not joined us yet. We hope that she will be able to sneak into the podcast here in a bit.
Here, Sharon, come be part of the podcast.
Come to us, Sharon.
All I heard is you got a lot more exercise than I did today.
Yeah. And then I came home and it got up from my nap, and it had just hailed.
What the hail?
So anyway, that was my day. How was yours?
I spent most of my day installing this new computer and the desk modifications that went with it. And I had to do some actual work, which is boring, but necessary.
What?
Yep, all the boring stuff for me. Work, home.
Work.
Now for the fun part. And now for lovely stuff with friends. Say Gothic Podcast.
You load 16 tons.
Maybe my next character will talk like Julia Childs.
Oh, I love Julia Childs.
Given what the next gaming system is going to be, that would be hilarious. Stay tuned to the end of the season, Sojourners, to our end of the season retrospective to find out what that gaming system is going to be.
Because I'm not going to leak it. At least not yet.
Well, you don't even leak our regular episodes on social media or anything.
I know. I need to get back on and do the tweeting and the Facebooking and all of the horrible stuff that I avoid most of the time.
So, Sojourners, since our cast doesn't promote us out there on social media, we ask that you do. So please rate, review, and leave comments for us, and or send us a tweet, or send us some email, whatever. We will probably get around to responding.
Yes.
And if you're good at marketing and are willing to work for free, I know a couple of podcasts who'd be happy to take you up on those offers.
Web design, sales, whatever.
We also welcome our first listener in Brazil, although who knows if they'll make it this far. especially if they started at episode 1.
Worldwide Gothicness. Yes.
Yep. All right, last time, you were having a lovely beer at the Big Fish Brewery, home of the Bastard Pint, hand and a half, with 3 agents of the FBI. And the one that you were primarily talking to there was a fellow named Owl Nizhoni. And he had just dropped the bombshell that there were a bunch of dead people up at the weather station / cell phone tower on top of Fog Mountain. So let's pick up there, shall we? Let's join our characters drinking beer already in progress as we all pause to drink our beer.
Or wine.
Gulp.
Or soda in my case, since we opened a bottle of wine on top of the mountain and then had a beer afterwards too.
And mine's technically cider, but I'm going to call that pretty close.
Okay. All right. So, Jesse, your Jason had lots of questions at the end of last episode. So why don't you go ahead and blurt some of those out, see what happened.
A couple of question reminders for Jesse, actually. Were they all at the table, or was Susie still over at the bar and Frank still kind of standing off to the side?
Frank is still standing over by the window. He is close enough to hear what is being said, but he is not facing the table. He's looking out over the bay. And Susie has come over with her beer, a Bastard Pint, and settles in nearby with a notebook in which she's taking actual notes and not drawing doodles of monsters like
Owl is doing.
Owl was doing.
Okay.
Yes.
And also I wanted to check tension tracker and survival points. Are we resetting, or are those going from where they were at the end of last session?
Both will be where they were at the end of last session, which I believe the tension points and tension level are both at 9.
Okay.
And I don't know what your individual survival points are.
Yeah, I think I had spent a couple, so I'm down to 3.
Okay. Excellent. What else needeth thou know before we dive in?
Yep. Okay, let's do this.
That was not Owl saying anything. That was me.
I think I'm pretty good.
What's young Carl doing during all this?
He's mostly observing and listening, and probably a fair amount of fidgeting. But you notice that when he's observing and listening, it's not just the conversation with the FBI. Obviously, he's very intrigued as to what in the heck is going on around here. But he's looking at so many other things. If you watch, he seems to be staring at different items around the room, out the window. A lot of things are catching his eye. For those of watching him, it may seem odd. For those, the listeners at home, you might notice that what's happening here is he's catching things that he has no idea what they are, or things that are new or different that really stand out to him. There's going to be so many things that just don't look the same. Anything from the taps look different, the soda fountains look different, the cars going by, every little thing he's just kind of can't help but look and stare at.
Why don't you make I wanted to make you make an act under pressure check, but again, wrong game. That doesn't make any sense then. I need different characters.
My dice had, I forgot I moved them. Okay, much better. I have dice now.
Well, since I can't make you do an act under pressure because that's not the kind of rules that we're running under, young Carl is looking around in curiosity, we'll say, at nearly everything. But Owl seems to be ignoring young Carl and is turned to you, Jason, and Gigi, who is seated next to you. On the other side of the table is Skeen and Allison. And Allison hasn't been saying a whole lot. Skeen has just been mostly scowling.
Oh, geez. Where to even begin? Okay, first of all, how do you know so much about what? Okay, let me rephrase that. What do you know about the goings-on here on the island?
I don't know that there's a whole lot that we do know for sure. there are a lot of reports of interesting activities on this island that go back many years.
And your knowledge of the creature thing that we encountered a few nights back, and your ability to replicate it in drawing, what can you tell me about that?
Well, my doodles here, and he laughed. My doodles here are based on accounts and images drawn in a variety of journals and accounts from various sources, including the Lewis and Clark expedition.
The explorers?
That's them.
Okay. Okay.
But also oral accounts as written down by settlers or folklorists from local Salish peoples.
So those are
accounts.
some of the oldest tribal stories, campfire tales, written down from ages ago.
Well, the written accounts aren't necessarily that old. The oldest written accounts do come from the expedition, the Lewis and Clark expedition, while the others, although the accounts may be older, the written versions are from the let me think, Susie? Yeah, I think late 1800s, maybe early 1900s at the latest. I mean, at the oldest, Susie says.
My next question. While I think about my next question, I take a nice little swig of my ale, and
while you're thinking of that next question, Owl says, "So you haven't asked me about the dead people up at the weather station. So was this not a surprise to you? Were you expecting that?"
No, that is a total surprise. It's a total surprise because the last we knew, I mean, we saw plenty of dead people as it was in the clearing by the cabin, and to have more incidents like that going on around the island does not surprise me in the least. However, I do wonder what happened to Carl and how he got out there.
Right, and we'd like to find Carl.
I do my best not to glance over at young Carl, but maybe accidentally give away something. I'm trying to really keep what I have learned myself about young Carl at this point.
We may not reset the tension points and the survival points for this episode. However, we will reset the who rolled last marker. So I will go ahead and let you roll obscure against our FBI agent's passive identifier.
Okay. Oh, come on, D10s. Ooh. Okay, that's a 16.
16. Oh, if only that were good enough.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But you see his eyes narrow a little bit as you inadvertently glance over at young Carl.
Just like an eye flick in his direction.
Indeed. But that was not a risky check, so no survival points lost.
Okay. Any response?
Gigi nearby has just ordered another martini and has downed the first one like a shot and is now drinking the second one. Not sipping, but drinking, but not downing it like a shot, at least.
And that's what Carl would do every time somebody mentioned the name Carl. He would kind of do the awkward, not try really hard to not look around and take a drink and look interested in that.
All right. Well, why don't you, young Carl, also roll an obscure check against our FBI agents?
Let's see. What is my obscure? Here we go. That is not fantastic. It'll be a 12.
Okay. So Owl turns in his chair toward young Carl and goes, we have neglected you here in all of this. So who are you?
Carl Cade, Private, United States Army.
Carl makes a very long pause where he kind of looks at him, looks around the room. He has an almost nervous look about him, but not, not straight up anxiety. It's more of a you can see that he's pondering how to play this. What does he do? He says, all right, okay, this is going to sound crazy.
Yeah, crazier than tentacle monsters, Skeen says.
Possibly. They're all pretty strange. It's hard to rank, those kind of strange things. It's been a weird 24 hours for me. Things have been just all kinds of wacky. And before I showed up here in the woods with the rabbit people and the lady who swore I was her, what did we say? Oh, yes, her husband's son. Mm-hmm. I believe that's a lie I told. I have no idea why she believed it. But Bing Crosby, the last thing I remember, listening to his new song on the radio, Swinging on a Star. Anybody know it? Swinging on a Star, Bing Crosby. Kind of looks around the room.
Al pauses for a second, thinking, and
Jason kind of like looks at Carl and just kind of opens his eyes like, dude, I don't know if you should be sharing that yet, with that kind of look.
And Al goes, or would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams home in a jar? I think I heard
yeah.
I think I heard that one. That was a cover, but
yeah, I don't know what you mean.
Got the tune right,
but that's the song. That's the one. A big fan of Bing, and I hadn't heard that song, and finally was near a radio and got to hear a song. There was some of the guys in the tent. They had a radio working, and somebody was broadcasting that song. Hadn't heard it. Don't know how. Don't know why. The song just finished, and next thing I know, I'm in the woods here. So somehow I went from just outside Luxembourg to here.
Luxembourg, in Germany.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he looks at Susie, and she has pulled out her phone, a smartphone, of course, young Carl, and has typed something on it, and waits for a second, and then holds it up to Owl, who nods and says, "What were you doing in Luxembourg?"
Well, I was stationed there in the United States Army.
Okay, just I'm just gonna have like a complete like silly look on my face as I turn from Carl back to Owl with just like this weird grin, like, so what can you tell us about time travel if you're not gonna tell us about tentacle monsters?
Well, so you're saying, and he motions again to Susie, who holds up the screen again. 1944?
No, it's January. It's 45. New Year. We had well, it wasn't really champagne, but it was a bottle of something. Anyway, yeah, I was getting shot at that night, so we didn't get to celebrate a lot. Been out there for a while, big battle, lots of gunfire. They moved us around a fair amount, but a whole lot of Germans. We're hoping we're hoping if we can push them back, but they really forced us back a long ways. But it's looking good for us then.
Yeah. So, Mr. Lawrence, to answer your question, I'm perfectly willing to talk about tentacle monsters. I don't have I don't believe there's any accounts of time travel. I'm going to have to look into that. The weird thing, though, isn't that he seems disbelieving. It just seems that he seems perplexed that it's something that he wasn't expecting.
So anyway, tentacle monsters, let's talk more about that.
Right. It might be able to be, okay, he gains his composure again and says, this may be able to be folded into the other events associated with Elk Island.
What other events?
You know, the ones that you have told me about, the ones that I showed you pictures of and you weren't necessarily aware of. Other things along the way, just oddities. Things seen in the woods, strange noises, strange lights. That goes back quite a ways. Of course, that happens in a lot of different places in the world and often is of no interest to our investigations. But in any case, there seems to be some sort of focal point here on this island of unnatural or unexplained phenomenon, and we're just trying to put a few things together, and maybe you'll be able to help us with that. I also And I will admit to a bit of misdirection earlier. We aren't entirely here because of the Canadian who went missing among the, quote, rabbit people, unquote.
Jason's not surprised.
But because of the, well, murders up at the weather station, which, and he leans forward and lowers his voice, I'll be candid, does not appear to have been a weather station entirely.
What do you mean?
I mean, it seems, at which point Frank turns from the window and goes, Al? And Al looks at Frank and says, Frank? And then Frank shrugs and turns back to the window. And Al turns back to you and says, just from some of the things that we found, and again, just got here this morning, but it appears from some of the notes that we have looked at in the lab that their investigations were not necessarily entirely meteorological. But since they were a government office, we are here primarily to find out what happened to them, preferably before whoever they actually worked for shows up and makes that more difficult. So any aid you can give us, and certainly, he turns to young Carl, you, sir, and what is your name?
My name.
Mm-hmm.
I look at him and I'm all like, I kind of give him that, maybe not.
I would like to note here that I have been quite forthcoming, as my friend Frank over there would, I believe, also agree.
Just for grins, why don't you call me Carl?
At which point, Jason just puts his head in his hands.
Why? Why, Carl? Why?
I mean, there's so many names being thrown around. I hate to add another one to the mix. Let's just keep it small.
The deputy did mention that you said that your name was Carl Kane, private U.S. Army.
Yeah, I said that.
Yep, that's also very interesting. Okay, so why don't you all feel free to have dinner here on the U.S. government if you like, or head back to your rooms or your castle. He looks at Allison, or whatever. He doesn't say it in any sort of, snarky way. He just kind of says it more or less straightforward. And we will talk after you've had a time to digest all of this and get yourselves cleaned up.
Young Carl just immediately grabs a menu, and if anybody could hear him mutter under his breath, he's like, "Oh, government's been feeding me for 3 years now. They might as well feed me one more meal, and let me make it a good one at least." I'm just
The prices are insane.
Yeah, there's a point where you see him notice that, like, what in the?
I'm not that rich.
Is this Are these dollars?
It's $13 for a burger.
For a burger, like made of cow. Are there no cows anymore? No? Okay. Oh, well, he's paying. Hey, give me 2, will you? 2 burgers. 2 golden cow burgers.
Owl stands up, and when the waitress comes over, he hands her a government credit card and says, just leave that open for whatever these fine folk want, and I'll pick it up later. So, Frank, Susie, I believe we have something we need to do.
Are you going up to the weather station? Throwing up air quotes. Are you going up to the weather station?
Possibly. We also need to look over the notes. We'll probably do that first.
Dang. Okay. So not going to be following them up to the weather station. All right. Thank you, and we'll see you. When were we getting together again?
I don't know, after burgers. Hey, can I go ahead and get the 2 orders of fries? And do you still milkshakes? Don't tell me how much it costs. Just, do you do milkshakes or not?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a milkshake machine here. We do beer mostly. We do have some hard liquor. And the waitress looks at Gigi, who just holds her hand up and motions with 3 fingers.
Ice cream? You got ice cream?
We have a brownie that we heat up in the microwave, and then we put some hot fudge on it.
In the what now?
The microwave?
Sure, it's hot, right? Hot brownie? Got it.
Yeah, we nuke them. Yeah.
Yep. So 2 burgers, 2 orders of fries, lots of ketchup, and one of the brownies that you heat up in the waves.
Okay.
Jason is just trying not to laugh. He's just like, if the waitress looks his direction, he's just like, just some cheese curds.
So Owl and Frank and Susie leave. What would you like to do?
Is the waitress still hanging around, or did she go back to take care of orders?
Yeah, she takes all of your orders. For Gigi, that's just more alcohol. For Skeen, it is a brisket sandwich. Allison orders a salad. She's a salad kind of person.
That's so Allison. And
that's the name of her new podcast. That's so Allison.
Carl, are you settling in after orders are taken and sitting around the table with us?
Sure.
Then at that point, Jason is seriously just like looking around at everyone and what the actual F is going on at Elk Island.
I know. Did you see the prices on this thing? What the hell?
Carl, beyond the prices, and this has something to do with the family, so you know history of the family, so maybe you can help figure out what's been going on. But I'm sorry, and if they're not going up to the weather station right away, I kind of feel inclined to try and see what's going on up there before they get a chance to get in there.
Oh, of course they're going up to the weather station right away. That seems to make the most sense. And yeah, you know what the hell? I'm probably going to wake up from this weird dream I'm in anyway. So, like, I'm sure this has everything to do with that stupid book.
Book?
Yeah, the book.
Which book? The book that...
Yeah, I have no idea where the book is right now. Last time I knew, my brother had it. And yeah, I don't know. It was in the library then, but it was the thing with the cat in the study and my brother. Weird, but...
Okay.
A lot of weird going on.
Yeah, we don't... I especially don't know a lot of the history of the family. So, I mean, if it's something at the house or at, yeah, is it a mansion? Is it a house? How do we refer to it?
I like castle, actually, like what Agent Nizhoni there said. What kind of name is Nizhoni?
Right? So back up at the castle, there's a room with a book that your brother Lazarus, my father, what the hell is going on with this family?
I mean, you're telling me that, man, that's unbelievable. I honestly am shocked that my brother ever had sex.
Oh. And at that, just from like the snicker, I look over at him and I was like, "You're going to someday too, Carl. It's okay."
I think actually that's probably a good fade to black. And so where shall we fade from black into our new scene?
Well, that's what I was trying to get the feels of what the group wanted to do, whether they wanted to go and try and find out more about this book or to go up to the weather station and see what was going on up there. So I that's kind of what I was trying to feel out with the...
So which one would you like to do, Jason? And then we can send Gigi and Allison and Skeen, or Gigi and somebody else, because probably doesn't want to do it alone, to do the other one.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. Splitting the party? This is not a good idea.
Yeah, I know, but you could get survival points for it if you do it.
Yeah, I know. I honestly would like to poke around up at the weather station.
All right.
And would try to get young Carl involved throughout the conversations at dinner.
So Gigi and Allison will go back up to the manor house and start looking for this book. They will have, grilled young Carl a little bit about what it looks like and that sort of thing. Then Skeen will go with you, bro, and young Carl, if young Carl is wanting to head up to the weather station as well. There is a road that goes up there. It's a logging road that wraps around the far side of the mountain.
Oh man, us and these logging roads don't mix.
Unfortunately, the Auburn, there's no way that the Auburn will make it up there. What you really need is your Jeep.
But I don't know what kind of state it's in.
Yeah, although there's a good chance that it is impounded over there at the police station rather than still up on the side of the mountain.
Well, I guess my other question is, if it's not impounded, does that road out there that kind of swings by the cabin go up towards the weather station?
No, the access to the weather station is from the north side of the island.
Okay. Yeah, let's go check and see if my Jeep is back at the police station. Or even the Bronco, if it'll let us use that. If the radiator got fixed.
Well, you know what it's going to take, right?
A survival point.
It is, but fortunately you just got one for splitting the party.
Awesome.
That goes for everybody, so young Carl, you can take a survival point as well.
Done.
As will Gigi when we go over to her at the house. Thanks. Oh, sure, Sharon, no problem.
I love how you were playing up her bad habits. She probably gained like 2 survival points during that anyway.
Yeah, probably got another one there. Although lose one for, not being here.
Oh, of course. Yeah, so the Jeep's available. They did find it, impound it. Damage wasn't too horrible. Jeep seems to be functioning.
You, of course, hit it with the Bronco.
Right.
But there was, one of those not cow catchers, one of those brush guards on the front. And that and a light are pretty much what got torn up in the collision. It could probably use a good, checking over by a mechanic, but it seems to run, and you can either bend the fender up or, take it completely off so that it's not rubbing against the tire anymore.
Yeah, mostly just pulling it out of the way as I check to see if there's any axle damage or anything like that.
Do you have experience with that sort of thing? Or
we've had all kinds of different vehicles that we moved the Carnival in. I have a little bit, but nothing too extensive.
Okay. So why don't you roll me an identify?
Identify it is. My worst stat, but a good roll. 13.
You're shooting for the general 15 here.
Yeah, I got 17.
So you slide underneath and you're looking at it, and although you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you can tell that it looks pretty good. If the axle's bent or anything, it's very slight. So it looks like it's drivable. Again, you don't have the experience to know for sure, and probably, you're just guessing, but probably the alignment has been thrown off. But
it looks good. Let's see how she drives.
So there is indeed a bit of a wobble. Not too pronounced, but a bit of one. So the alignment is indeed off. It pulls to the right a little bit,
okay.
But
I have a feeling that's going to come into play.
Sure, it'll be fine.
It pulls to the right a little bit. Right off the cliff! Okay, and once everybody's in and ready to go, head up to making sure everybody, of course, has appropriate weather gear. At that point, extra coats or anything if Ivan had any extras left in the lost and found or anything, just to make sure everybody's warm enough as we head up to the weather station.
Deputy Fresk is like, I'm not just gonna. Oh wait, no. What's this? What? I'm not just. No crap. Oh right. I'm not just gonna give you none of whatever I've got here. What do you think? Them FBI agents just gave you carte blanche?
It's nothing like that. We just want to make sure we're warm enough while we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're staying up at the house. You know where we are. What's the harm in letting us borrow them until we can procure some of our own, or at least get back to some of our own belongings?
Well, I'd say you need to roll a persuade, except you just rolled, so that means I'm going to do it.
All right. Against my dissuade?
No. He's going to try to escape out of this situation. So it's going to be, he's rolling escape against your persuade.
Against my persuade?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Seems like a reasonable thing right now to me in my adult state.
Sure.
15.
That does not beat a 16.
It does not. Let's check my tension points.
Oh, you punk.
I'm going to spend one.
I knew it. I knew it.
And so he remains unconvinced, and he says, you inherited all that Keen money, so I don't think so. You just go out and buy some new stuff.
What is near the station? Is there like any kind of something where we could grab some coats?
Yeah, you can find coats at the same store where older Carl bought his rain jacket upon arrival here on the island.
It's like right there in the same area.
Yeah, it's not far away, and
I will definitely be like, all right, fine, and just be like, thanks a lot again, and close the door on him and walk away.
So pretty soon you find yourself rolling along in the Jeep on the north side of the island, on the North Road, and Skeen is consulting a map on their phone, and they say, yeah, I think it's right here.
Okay, react as best I can to that and slow down and steer in that direction.
Yeah, you have to back up and go up this like neighborhood road, and you pass by some houses, and then there's another road, still kind of paved, that goes winding up the north side of Fog Mountain through the trees, but then that quickly turns to gravel, which then turns to just a rutted dirt road that is covered in a bit of snow and is also a bit sloppy from melted snow, as those two things are alternating here on Elk Island over the past few days.
Right? Okay, definitely gonna go easy as I'm driving around this, especially with the wobble.
Give me an identify Carl.
Hey. Well, what we got there are double ones.
Nice. It's at least not a 13, which is which is bad.
Which makes that a 7.
Nope. You could spend a survival point to re-roll if you wanted.
Nah. He was too busy trying to look at the phone because he doesn't understand what's going on with that thing. So he, whatever it is, missed it entirely.
So you guys are continuing on up this logging road, and you're fighting the Jeep a fair bit, Jason, because one, there is that pull to the right, but there's, it's also this muddy, rutted road.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you get to a fence that says U.S. government. It says U.S. government, NOAA, no trespassing.
NOAA?
No.
What?
Yeah, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Okay. Here's some more letters for you, Carl.
No, I got those.
It's still government, and you're a soldier. You're government, right? We can poke around,
Sure.
as I'm like starting to turn off the Jeep and kind of like get out and kind of like look at the fence and see what's going on, and looking around to see if there's like security cameras or if there seems to be any power supplied to the fence. Like, is it an electric fence? Is it going to shock me if I try to touch it?
There does appear to be a security camera that is mounted inside of the perimeter. It's got a good view of the gate from inside there.
So it's already seen us.
You think that the view might be a little blur, that because the gate's not open, that it might not be just too pristine of a shot of you all, but that if it is a recording, then yeah, it probably is recording at least your front fender.
Oh.
Now, the fence itself is maybe 8 feet tall. It's that chain link stuff that just goes off into the woods on either side. Beyond it, there have been some trees cleared, but not a lot. It just appears that the road continues on, and it's just as rutted as it was coming up to this point. You don't see any buildings at this point, but you are pretty high up.
Yeah, where's the cloud level? Are we in it, or is it below us?
You pass through some fog, which is probably clouds, but you don't have a big open view. Right now you're just in trees. It is cooler here by a magnitude.
As I hunker down in my coat and be happy that we stopped at the store to get those, what do you think about looking around? To Carl and Skeen.
Yeah, let's look around. Carl starts to kind of walk forward.
I'm game, I guess, says Skeen. But should we walk right through the front gate, or?
Well, there is a camera right there, and it's probably already seen the Jeep. At this point, if anybody's watching, they probably know we're here. So why not just see if there's anybody home?
And Skeen shrugs. And young Carl, you're already up at the gate. You do note that there is a lock on it, a padlock, but it's actually just hanging off of the chain link, like right near the gate, and it looks like it's been cut.
I kind of, grab the padlock, hold it up to him, throw it on the ground, and be like, yeah, it looks like somebody's already here.
Oh, boy. I hope it's not the bunny people again.
Yeah, I hope it's not the bunny people too, but...
Okay, let's just be a little cautious, because if somebody cut through the lock, that means it's not somebody that's meant to be here.
Yeah, they must be up to no good. Like us.
We can open the gate and drive up, or we can walk up from here.
Well, I mean, if we're being all obvious about it, I guess we might as well just drive up. Yeah,
Carl.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Carl walks back
as we pull back the gate, and
Skeen says, "Carl, I feel like you're going to agree to whatever we say."
Hey, listen. I mean, dream's going to take me wherever the dream takes me. Might as well just ride this one out.
Skeen leans over and they pinch you. It hurts.
I can totally see that too. Skeen just like, pinch. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Did that wake you up?
Would it?
Okay.
Is that how that works?
Skeen.
I don't know.
Skeen, Carl has some part to play here, so we're just going to have to roll with it.
He's obviously in denial.
I mean, is it going to be like a machine gun nest full of Nazis shooting at me? Because, that's been my day for a while now, so...
I'd almost take Nazis over tentacle monsters in the trees.
And Skeen says, oh yeah, tentacle monsters. And then they look around in the trees. It is daytime, so there is that at least going for you here.
Yeah.
But once you set it and you all kind of, just your voices dropped off right after that, and you realize that it's very quiet up here except for the ticking of the engine of the Jeep.
And I would probably be quiet at that point too. It's like just noticing the somberness of the moment. Just be like looking in the woods, like out of my peripheral, just trying to catch anything possible as I'm like making my way slowly up the path.
Okay. You swing the gate open and you drive the Jeep through. Do you just leave it hanging open?
Yeah, at that point.
All right. So you drive on up, and it's not more than 300 or 400 yards until you come to a leveled clearing, which is obviously a parking lot of sorts. And there are 3 cars in the parking lot. All of them are 4-wheel drive vehicles. They appear to be government issue. They're those, white SUVs that have NOAA on the side of them, NOAA.
Do you think they were just left here?
Skeen says, there is a layer of snow on them.
Okay. So they've been here in a little minute. It's probably left over from the massacre or whatever it was.
At the edge of the parking lot, the slope is pretty steep, and there are concrete stairs that are set into the slope of the hill. And they go up a ways, probably 30 or 40 steps.
All right, guys. Looks like we're going up.
So up you go, and that takes you to a cleared area on top of Fog Mountain where the trees have been cleared. There is a concrete sidewalk running from the stairs on up. Now it's covered with a light sheen of snow. This goes up to a building. Classic square cinder block building, not overly exciting in any way, but there are a couple of towers attached to that. A lot of the big scaffolding-like towers that look like they have all sorts of meteorological equipment on them. And then back beyond the building, even kind of higher up on the slope, is a cell phone tower.
Does it look like a pretty standard cell phone tower? Does it look like there's extra dishes on it or something to pick up all of the satellite TV?
What is your knowledge of cell phone towers?
Jesse or Jason? Jason's is not very much, probably.
How about Jesse's?
Jesse's knows quite a bit. Jesse, did some satellite communications when he was actually in the Army.
Jason was not and did not, and therefore has no idea.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, so Jason wouldn't notice then. He'd just be like, cell phone tower. Nothing special about that. Unless it did look awfully gaudy with a whole bunch of extra little satellite dishes on it. And I think at that point, are there windows on this building?
Yes, there are. They're dirty.
Can you see inside at all? Is there light coming from them from inside?
Well, since it's daytime and now you have come out kind of into the open up here, you are looking out over. Now you can actually see the whole, well, not the whole sound out here, but you can see other islands. The clouds are below you now, and but they're not. They're broken clouds. They're not.
Spot of water here, a little bit of land there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. I just want to live there already. I'll deal with tentacle monsters. I don't care.
What are you doing, Carl?
I mean, Carl's just kind of following these guys around a little bit. Some of these things here look familiar, but some of these things don't look familiar. So he still has that kind of almost gaze of wonderment. Like, what are these things? And then he'll kind of snap out of it and look around and then just follow what's going on here.
Do you have any specializations?
No, Carl does not.
Okay. So, yeah, Skeen's looking a little jumpy, but you also notice, Jason, that the windows are dirty, but they're not so dirty that you can't find some spots. You look inside, and you do so.
I do.
I assume. And you see an entryway room that appears to actually be much of the interior of the building. It has several workstations, like 4 or 5 workstations with computers and paper on them. And again, you can't see a lot of detail, but you see the general ideas. And you also see bodies. There's just bodies slumped. One seems to be slumped over a table. Another is on the floor. And again, no details, but you see the shapes.
And it wasn't recent, so I can't be looking around for footprints and stuff. I mean, ultimately, I'd be like, you guys, they weren't kidding. There's a bunch of people in here, no longer living. I don't know how to put that. They're
dead, says Skeen.
Yes, and if we were to go in there, I can't imagine the smell, and for second, what it is going to look like. I can't see very much through these windows, but it looks horrible in there, and I don't know how this could have happened.
Skeen opens the door and goes in.
Oh God. I'm just going to stand there for a minute and wait to see if they come running back out.
Okay. They do not. They do shout out and say, yeah, it's a bit smelly, but not too bad. It's cold in here.
Okay. Ease my way up to the door and look in. Does Carl ease up from the other side and peek in also?
Yeah, kind of look down and see what I can see.
Jason, go ahead and roll. You have shown a reluctance here, so I'm going to go with the default here that you're going to gag and throw up on this unless you want to spend a survival point to not do so.
I have to spend a survival point to do that? Oh, I can't protect against the assault on my senses?
All right, you made the argument. I'll let you roll a protect. See how easy I am?
Oh, that was awesome. Kind of. 20.
I'm a fan of the players, 20
total.
Okay, you feel a little bile rise up in your throat there, Jason, but you push it down. And indeed, Skeen is standing in there, trying not to step in what are now a few-day-old bloodstains. And they're looking around.
A macabre version of hopscotch.
Yeah, and you see that there were probably 4 bodies here, but it's kind of hard to tell because they're not all together. They seem to have been ripped apart, at least a couple of them. The other 2, one of them's on the floor, and there's no immediate cause of death. The same with one that is slumped over a workstation. But 2 of them are really, really torn apart.
Okay. Do any of them look like the Carl we started with?
I would actually, because you've seen a lot of bodies, Carl, I would go ahead and roll identify for me.
Again, not great. My dice are just not on my side tonight, but that's a 13.
Okay. Yeah, so not good enough. These people were killed.
Yeah, they're dead.
2 of them by being rended apart by some sort of wild animal, perhaps.
But one of them just looked like seriously just slumped over their desk, like they died right there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and without examining closer, like moving the body, there's no way of really necessarily telling how they were killed.
Oh, geez. Is Skeen still just kind of making their way through the muck?
Yeah, like high stepping almost from clear spot on the floor to clear spot on the floor.
What do you think happened here?
Wow. People were killed, and this is wild, man.
Well, the door wasn't locked. We were able to just come in.
Yeah, I mean, do you think the FBI agents just left them up here? I mean, I guess they could have.
And they're definitely looking a couple of days old. Like, this was 3 nights ago when we had our attack.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, again, you can't identify for sure, but it's not fresh. The blood is dried on the floor and on the clothes.
The bodies are frozen.
Well, they're not, yeah, it's not that cold here, but
It's pretty much the same as it is outside.
It's refrigeration temperatures here. It's not freezer temperatures.
Oh, okay, the bile really is rising in my throat.
There are doors as well out of this room. Not just the one that you came through. It occupies much of the cinder block building, but not all of the cinder block building.
Looking around, do I notice any other strange things like other blood smears across the wall, or hell, even if there's a broom or a fire extinguisher or something that I can like use to bash somebody's head in if I need to?
I would say, I mean, normally I would say you have to roll use a survival point to get a weapon such as a fire extinguisher or something, but this is a government building. There's going to be a fire extinguisher attached to the wall here.
Dang.
But no bloodstains on the wall except
near where pieces of body fell.
Yeah, there looks like one spot on the wall where somebody's head might have been slammed there. Also, none of them look like 90-year-old Carl Kane.
Okay. As I kind of like grab the fire extinguisher and everything and just kind of like, I kind of want to look to see like what really happened to the one that's just kind of slumped over their desk that looked like nothing really happened to them like the others. And I just kind of want to like push them back a little bit if I can and roll and rotate them in their chair so that I can get a better look at their body.
King goes, you might not want to mess with the crime scene. Oh, you did it anyway. Never mind.
Well, I'm not touching them with my hands.
And you kind of turn the chair around and you see that best I can describe it as is this person. He's a guy in his perhaps 40s, and his eyes have been gouged out and his jaw is ripped down. So it's like somebody might have like jammed their fingers or something into their eyes and then grabbed a hold of their jaw, like, and then just pulled.
I have that total retracting moment, like in the Goonies, where they first turn over One-Eyed Willie and they're like, and I do the same thing.
Yeah, and of course the body then continues its spin around in the chair and then falls out onto the floor.
And then like do the like hands up in the air and backing up on tippy toes to get out of the way of where it might land.
And Skeen says, oh Lord, oh man, and I'm atheist too.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, he didn't die a natural death then. Or whatever kind of death I thought he might have had.
I would say not, says Skeen.
Well, there's still a couple of doors. Should we check out to see if there's anything else going on in here?
I think we've like already messed with a federal crime scene, so we may as well.
I like the way you look at things, Skeen.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
3 hots and a cots, right?
Skeen actually does appear to lose it just a little bit and goes over and just like slap.
Oh, damn it!
Pushes Carl on the shoulders and the chest and goes, "This is not a dream, you crazy, crazy man.
Just see Skeen like trying to pick Carl up and like do the kind of like slap thing.
Carl looks at Skeen and says, son, you look and act exactly like something that would show up in a dream, right?
Skeen goes, happy place, happy place, happy place. Yeah, actually, that's fairly accurate. Okay, I'm all right. You're right. Sorry, I panicked there for a moment. I'm better now. I'm sorry for hitting you, time traveling Carl. Okay.
Tell it like it is.
I've been trying. All right, which door? Behind door number A or door number B?
Tell me a little bit more about the doors. Is one of them fancier than the other?
Nope, both of them are just standard gray doors that look like they probably have steel cores.
Okay, I'm just going to look back at Skeen and Carl and be like, one's probably a closet, the other's probably a bathroom. We're probably in the clear. As I just grab A, let's say A, and twist the knob and let the door swing open as I kind of look at them and then slowly turn my head to see what's in there.
So you can, and it is neither one of those things, but it appears to be a server room where there's a lot of computers humming away.
I wonder what Carl's reaction to seeing that is.
I mean, he's actually very dismissive because it's like, look, another room full of stuff that does stuff. A lot of blinky lights in there. Yep. It seems to run out of some form of electricity.
Skeen says, those are computers.
Do they also use the little waves?
The little wave?
The microwaves.
Yeah, micro, little, right? I know that word.
Actually, that comes from the antenna out behind the station.
Why did I even try? What's behind door number B?
Opening that one and be like, let's see what's behind door number 2. Crack. And
it is locked.
Ooh. It's a good thing I have a big-ass fire extinguisher in my hand. It's like, should I really go in here? As I lift it up looking like I'm going to smash the doorknob, seeing if Carl and Skeen respond.
Skeen is decidedly looking elsewhere.
No, I want to watch this.
Is Skeen also whistling?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And just going to bash that. Ooh, do I get to roll an assault check on the doorknob?
I'm going to lose my EMT driver's license. No, you break it open.
Okay.
That's fine. And you just bash on it until the knob comes off. And then it swings open and a red light, like a red horizontal light, fans down from top to bottom over the upper half of the door area. It fans from top to bottom and then it goes back up. And then you see, because that was a little bright in your eyes, you see a pretty blank room lined with polished aluminum. It is closet size, but there's no closet-y material in it. If anything, it looks like an elevator, except that there's no buttons or anything. There's just a single camera in the opposite wall of the room
that the light came out of.
Yeah, that the light came out of at about 6.5 feet up or so of this 7-foot high room.
Does it keep doing it occasionally, or just that one time?
It did it when the door opened, but that was the only time.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. Skeen, hold this, and I hand them the fire extinguisher, and I walk over to the best that I can find of a head that's somewhat intact from one of the torn bodies. And yeah, I'll give another gag at that. But I pull my coat sleeves down a little bit so they're covering my hands, and I pick up the portion as best I can and walk over and say, Carl, close the door and open it again.
Okay, he kind of gives the sure, whatever look and closes the door and opens it again.
And as he opens it, I try and put the head in the best position to where my head is as I'm standing at the edge of the door.
So you are trying to persuade this device to function correctly, so roll persuade.
That's a good thing my persuade is good. Or at least better. 8, 4, 6, 18.
The scanner goes and there is a click and the room kind of shudders and rises just slightly, as if it has loosened from the clamps that were holding it.
With a kind of a shudder, I drop the body to the side of the door. It's like, come on, guys, come on. And try to usher them into the room.
Okay.
Skeen follows you and Carl, Jason, into the room. As soon as you're in there, it's a couple more seconds, but then the room begins to descend.
Like the door closes really fast automatically, and we just start to drop.
No, it doesn't. You do start to drop, but the door doesn't close. You see the wall of rock passing by.
Oh, wow.
As this goes down into a shaft of stone, and it goes down quite a ways. You're not sure how far, but it goes down for several seconds, and then it stops. You are in what might have been a mine or natural tunnels or something. Anyway, it's cool, more like natural tunnels than like a mine. But it's an open, dripping cavern, maybe 30 feet across, with 2 or 3 tunnels leading out of it. Not uniform, very natural in appearance. There's a few stalagmites and stalactites, and a lot of glistening from where water has been dripping. It is there that you also see another body. This body is collapsed on the floor, and it is wearing a hospital gown that you recognize as being a hospital gown from the local clinic.
I'm deadpan gonna look at young Carl and be like, look back over and be like, Carl! And start heading over towards the collapsed body.
What?
As you do so, the body jerks up, like from collapsed form on the floor, jerks up and spins around as if somebody is like puppeting it or like it's on strings that have lifted it up, and turns around, and you see Carl, but Carl's eyes are burning with a almost translucent but fiery light. And Carl's mouth opens, and there's more of that. And there's more of that light deep within. And Carl says, You cannot stop me. But it's not Carl's voice.
Oh, okay.
I will get closer. And then the arms come up. Carl almost levitating toward you. Bare feet dragging on the floor of the cave, hands outstretched, the nails having grown long in the last past couple of days. We'll find out where we go from there on the next episode of the Gothic Podcast.
We love you all.
Thank you for joining us in the dark, Sojourners.
The Gothic Podcast is an actual play audio drama produced by C. Patrick Nagel, starring C. Patrick Nagel, Sharon Gollery-Lafournaise, Jesse Baldwin, and Richard Southard. Theme music is by Zoe Hovland, with cover artwork by Jared George Art. Season 2 of the Gothic Podcast uses rules from the Monster of the Week RPG by Michael Sands and the Dead of Night RPG by Steam Power Publishing. Look us up by name on all the social medias or email us at thegothicpodcast@gmail.com. Support for the Gothic Podcast comes from you, our listeners, so please rate, review, and share, and check out our Patreon page too. Thanks!